Sorry. Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here, and welcome to another episode of the Cinematic Bucket List series. And today I'm going to be talking about the Terminator movies. The first two, because those are the only ones that anyone seems to give a shit about. So the first Terminator movie came out in 1984 and stars Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, a college student who is being pursued by a Terminator, a killer AI played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is sent back from the past to kill her so that her son is never born. Apparently, her son is a very important asset in the future war between man and machine. And with Sarah out of the picture, the future will be changed and the machines will have conquered. So, aided by her protector Kyle Reese, they must stop the Terminator and save her future. So this movie is really, really great. It's a really great action movie. I can see why it's often quoted as being one of the best action movies of all time. It's full of 80s cheese. There are so many like quotable lines. The action is really like over the top and crazy. There are a bunch of like car chases and explosions, and it's almost like a robot slasher film, basically. And it's super entertaining to watch. Like, admittedly, it does take a bit to get going, but when it does get going, it's absurdly fun from beginning to end. But it also has a really good story, and it gets you to connect with the characters a lot. You really are rooting for them. You want them to get out of this alive. And they do a really good job of progressing Sarah's character, where she goes from a really, sort of typical, almost damsel in distress slasher movie victim, and then towards the end she gets into a league of her own and, you know, starts putting up a genuine fight. And I think Linda Hamilton does a really good job in this performance. She is much better in the second film, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I also think the guy playing Kyle Reese is really cool. He has his badass moments, and the two of them have a great rapport, and they have some really good chemistry. But of course, the one that you're all there to see is Arnold. He is so badass and so cool and so threatening, but he's also just so much fun to watch. Like the way he plays everything so straight-faced, and he does get more entertaining in the second film, but again, we'll get to that when we get to that. But he's still, you know, a really big presence here as well. The special effects in the movie are also really cool too. Like, obviously they've definitely shown their age, but they still, most of them do still hold up, and for the time they look pretty impressive. Like, the, fully built, Terminator animatronic, some of the models and the, you know, the explosions and things like that. That stuff does look really cool, and that shit takes time and effort that, movies today would just say, oh, let's do computers and shit like that. I do appreciate the fact that all the effects in this were, practical. There isn't really that much to say on the first one. It's pretty straightforward, but it's still really entertaining, and it's still fun to watch, and, you know, it's action-packed, it's funny, it's, gruesome. And I would definitely say, if you haven't watched it, go check it out, because it's a lot of fun. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. Now, Terminator 2, on the other hand, that is where things get, super amped up and just super epic in every possible way. Now, this one takes place a few years further. John Connor is born and is now a 14-year-old, and Sarah Connor has been put into a mental institution because people still think that she's crazy after the events of the first one. But then it's discovered that a backup plan was put into place just in case the first Terminator failed its mission. So now a T-1000, which is a highly advanced Terminator played by Robert Patrick and made of liquid metal, is being sent out to kill John Connor. And now a reprogrammed T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is sent back in time to protect John and stop the evil T-1000 from killing John and Sarah. Now, this is one of the few instances where I actually think the sequel is miles better than the first one. Not only is the action ramped up to bigger and bigger heights in this one, but the story is actually much better, the stakes are much higher. It was a lot more, you know, emotional. It actually, tried to be an actual story. I mean, I'm not saying that the first one didn't, but this one actually its focus wasn't just, oh, let's have a bunch of cool action scenes and say a bunch of cool one-liners. Like, this one was actually like trying to build relatable characters, and you feel for these guys and the journey that they're going through, and you pray that they make it out alive. And there are some really tense moments in this where, like, even when you know nothing is gonna happen, you're still worried. Like, you're like, shit, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And that all comes down to the acting. Linda Hamilton kills it once again. The kid playing John Connor, he had his like kind of cringy moments. I mean, this did take place in 1991, so he also brought the emotion. Arnold was amazing as always, and you did like sort of feel for him. Like, now that he's the good guy, you are kind of feeling for him. And overall, it's just like a much more interesting and, you know, emotionally investing story and, you know, movie. But that being said, the action in this movie is really fucking awesome. The effects have been amped up even further, and now we're in an era where they started using CGI in movies for effects and stuff. Here they use it very sparingly, which is good because, how do I say this nicely? The CGI hasn't held up very well. Like, there are some moments where it looks really good, but there are others where it just looks laughable. The practical effects look really awesome. There were a lot of like really crazy stunts where you're like, they couldn't have faked that. There's no way they could have like faked that. That looks way too realistic, and it was just so much fun to watch. There are a lot of like really tense action moments. The movie also has a really good sense of humor. Like, the first one was more like just cheesy because, you know, of how like serious I was trying to take. But this one actually injects humor into it, and it actually does a really good job. Like, it's genuinely making me laugh. Like, the rapport between Arnold and the John Connor, it's, you know, the perfect boy and his robot relationship, and it's just so much fun to watch. Like, hearing him teach him how to like curse and like talk back to people, and telling him all these like really dated catchphrases like "Hasta la vista, baby," and all this stuff. It's just really funny to watch. The movie does feel a bit long in places, like especially towards the end. The climax does run on a bit long, but like the action is so intense, and, you know, the story is so gripping that you're not really paying attention to how long it is. It's just, you're so invested that you're like, this could go on for an extra hour and I would still, you know, be awake. But beyond that, I really don't have too many problems with these first two Terminator movies. And like I said, I only did watch these first two because I have not heard the best things about any of the other sequels. Yeah, really enjoyed these Terminator movies. Terminator 2 is by far the better one, and I would highly recommend that you watch both of them. If I had to rate Terminator 2 Judgment Day, I would give it a 4.5 or possibly even a 5. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of the Terminator movies. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen any of the Terminator movies. What are your thoughts of them? As I said, what are your thoughts on the sequels, past two? What are your favorite action movies? All that stuff. Let me know all that stuff down in the comments. Apart from that, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on when I'm posting. Follow me on all my social medias. Subscribe to my main channel because I've been putting out bear content on there. Everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll be back.